trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record, for the record, for the record.
There it is, man. Welcome to the Homeland Daily, episode 48. My name is Dane Cameron. Thank you so much for tuning in, man. Happy Tuesday. Beginning of the week for us, but definitely second part of the week for you guys, man. So thank you so much for being a part of the Homeland Daily. Let me introduce the panel right now. Of course, no stranger. She's always here, always looking beautiful as ever. Filmmaker, entrepreneur, and definitely the most incredible female visionary person I've ever met in my life. Give it up for Liz Charles, man. What's up, Liz?
God, with that intro, how's a person supposed to follow up? Hey, y'all. Rico, I'm enjoying your dancing. I don't know if I should call it dancing, but you were moving. It was like a movement class over there. How are you doing this week, Dane?
Good, man. You know what? It's been one of those weeks. It's been one of those weeks, man. But we recovered from them. Everybody.
You were taken in the beach this weekend, though. Like most of Canaan. Rico, I don't know if you got in on that, but like all of Canaan was vacationing this weekend.
No, I didn't. The guy was like, "You're doing too much. I'm gonna give you a screwed up week. I'm going to give you a screwed up week after this beach day." And without further ado, let's introduce our next host, Rico Rolando, man, singer-songwriter and producer, and also the most incredible artist I have ever met. His voice is amazing. So give it up to Rico. He's my favorite, man. I'm allowed to say that. So big up to Rico Rolando. Welcome to Homeland Daily. Rico, how was your week, man? How did you get along?
You know what? I've had a pretty eventful week too. So I actually got some news that I got into Thriller's top 30. So
wow.
That was like I had to audition and all that different stuff, and luckily I made it to Thriller's top 30. So now the voting has started, and they're gonna announce their top 10 in like 2 days. So I need you guys to keep voting. All you have to do is click the link in my bio on Instagram. Also on my Facebook, there's somewhere you can click some bio. It's like takes 2 seconds. All you have to do is click vote and that's it. But other than that, it's been like super blessed.
Can we vote more than once?
Yes, you can. You can vote more than once. So just keep on tapping away.
K-Man Coalition. I feel like we got this.
You know what's weird? Like Rico gets all these opportunities. Are you even surprised anymore that all these opportunities are coming to you? Are you still like,
no, like literally I have to be doing the most to try to get these opportunities. Like I be searching everywhere. Like Google is my best friend when it comes to try to make some new money appear from somewhere. So I'm just trying to be like super focused on that right now. That's been like the biggest thing, is just trying to find new opportunities out there than just what I'm accustomed to.
That's dope, man. That's dope.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that they're coming in. By the way, for everybody that's making their way in, we will be discussing like the state of pensions here on the island, and that's like because of what the government just recently approved, and that's like your pension withdrawal. So that is still indeed a conversation, still indeed a topic, and we want you to be a part of the show. So just go ahead and just like let us know, man, like if you want to be a part of the conversation by simply just hitting our comments and putting your views, your opinions. You can start it early, even though we are about to jump into our entertainment report right now. And the first thing I want to start off with is the recent versus battle between the homie Fabulous and Jadakiss. Whoo, man, I don't know if Rico is old enough to know who Jadakiss is.
You know what? I'm old enough to remember some songs, okay? It's not...
Name a song. Or do the laugh.
Oh Lord.
What the hell is that?
I don't know. I really don't. I remember some Jadakiss. Like if you just sing something for me, and then I'll remember like a few. I'm telling you.
Well, there's Y, and then there's like he was in, of course. What is it called? Rocker. What is it, guys? It's been so long. I feel ridiculous right now. Like he was a part of the whole DMX clan clique. and it was a major thing for him. Liz, stop it. Like, are you judging me
I
right
didn't.
now?
What? You listen. What my face does, you shouldn't interpret anyway. Okay, just ignore my face.
Jada
Continue the conversation.
I swear,
He was the most
song
popular-
with like Justin Timberlake. I think I remember him on a
What?
song with Justin Timberlake.
He did a song with Justin Timberlake,
What
but he was
song with
always
Justin
famous
Timberlake?
for the locks. He was famous
Anyway,
for the locks.
so tell us the story about the versus battle.
Rough Riders. That's the name of the clique and the locks. Rough Riders. Boom.
His voice. I can't do the Jadakiss voice. I was trying, but I
Yeah.
couldn't really. I was.
Yeah, he had a very
Anyway,
high
go ahead.
pitch. But moving on, social media
anyway.
reacts to the Jadakiss and Fabulous versus battle. Apparently, of course, the famous Timbaland and Swiss Beats announced the battle last week as a New York heavy hitters was going to take place on Instagram and the major social media platforms. But one thing I like about the versus battle that a lot of people don't realize is that this is not really a big like who's going to win this thing. It's for the culture. And that's what I love about it. It's really to celebrate the culture, especially in a time like this that we're going through racial injustice and just all these Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's taking place right now. It's important. I love what BT did when they said they can't cancel the culture. You know, they can't cancel what we're doing here. And that's amazing. But I'm still going to pick a winner. And of course, that has to go to Jadakiss. For the culture, I'm going to celebrate Jadakiss because I was always a Fabulous fan also, but I just don't think he has enough to go against Jada, man. What do you think, Liz? I'm going to start with you only because you understand.
Okay.
Those are facts.
So, okay, first of all, I think the real winner of this versus battle are the Twitter memes and the just the memes that people came up with on like pulling up with their like jerseys, their like basketball NBA jerseys and the Timberlands and the baggy jeans, and they were like Bounty's the real winner, like wrapping their heads with Bounty. It was a mess. So I think the Twitter one. Also, here's the other thing. So I used to like Fabulous a lot when I was younger, right? And then I later, like in recent years, we've had like the Love and Hip Hop stuff. Like his people have been a part of that, and so I've learned more about Fabulous the person. And because I've learned more about Fabulous the person and the way he relates to women, I no longer co-sign Fabulous the rapper.
Yeah.
And so even though I used to be like, yo, I like his music, and like especially like you get Fabulous and Lil Mo together, oh, love it. But I can't co-sign you as a person anymore. So by that alone is Jadakiss, because Fab is out for me. Like I just
boom. Boom, man. Here's the next man that you well, Rico, I'm gonna be fair. I didn't want to skip. What do you think about the clothes they were wearing, at least?
You know what? But you know what? Does anyone even pay attention to the verses anymore ever since like Jamaica came in and just
ever since Bounty Killer beating
annihilated it? Like it's,
No, nobody.
I don't even think nobody's even paying attention anymore. Unfortunately, you know what? Big congratulations to whoever started it. It was dope. But
Nope,
you also
nobody.
left the Jamaicans for last. Like those are the people that you wait for. You wait. Like that was a celebration. Like that was a celebration. So
Ah, man. Well, Rico has a point there. That is true, because I didn't even realize it was going on. It was a friend that reminded me.
straight up.
We are definitely going to move on to the entertainment report, and the next young man that Liz probably does not see eye to eye with or agree with is the young homie Chris.
Oh Lord, we on a roll today.
I know, man. Rico definitely knows this young man because they share a lot of similar attributes when it comes to their voice and their talent. So I'll give that much to Rico, but definitely not what he has done previously in his past, which you guys know what I'm talking about. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what he has recently done. And he actually reached out to Barack Obama. Chris Brown stated in his a DM, literally slide into Barack Obama's DM and said, "Hey, let's set up a march for change. The whole world needs to be behind you. I don't know you personally, but we have the same heart, brain, power, and to change the world for better. No publicity stunt, a real march. We have to be smart, loving, compassionate. Revolution." And that's how he ends it. He just says revolution. He said the same brain and the same power. I don't know.
I was wondering if someone else was gonna. I was trying so hard to keep my face under control.
So
I don't know.
that one hit a little bit deep. I'm trying to figure out. Maybe he has a point. Maybe a little power. No.
The last thing I remember Barack Obama calling him like an ass.
That was Kanye.
Oh, that was Kanye.
Yeah, same people. Well, that one was lived short. We can move on from that one shortly. We'll move on to the next topic of discussion. You guys might enjoy this one. I know I personally did. But the reason you see a picture up there right now is because New York City is in the spotlight right now because $1 billion was cut from the NYPD budget for youth and community services. So what does that mean? Translate into layman terms, they're taking that moolah and put it into youth services and community services development. Big move by the mayor. I respect this move. I love this move. This is incredible. This is a step. This is a step towards change, but kind of wish they said more into Black communities and not just like youth and community service, because that could mean I'm gonna put this in the white areas also. I'm just saying, you need to be precise when you're touching these things. I'm sorry if I'm one of those grumpy old men that find a problem in everything, but this is facts. Like, you guys have to be specific. Where is this money going? This is $1 billion. Like, which is this going to be in the neighborhoods for rich white kids to build like stuff for them, advance the schools, the educational system, scholarships? Like, I just want to know, where is the money going? That's my. What do you think, Liz?
Yeah, I mean, I am so, listen, the entire time people have been like, de Blasio is not doing what we want him to. Cuomo's the only one who's standing up to the police. De Blasio, like, is just not doing anything, which just made me, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, as you all know, but the way he was moving, I was like, what they got on de Blasio, what they know, what the police know about de Blasio that got him just. So part of me wonders how this decision got made, because the NYPD was very like, they're a super strong union. They're the largest police force in the US. Like, they feel a little like a mafia, not gonna lie. And so for me, I wonder how they got to this decision and what kind of backdoor dealings had to be done. Who had to,
You're clicking now, Liz. You're clicking. I love it.
Yeah, okay, I'm done.
I'm done with you, man.
I'm gonna say, as the conspiracy theorist, that thing.
Here we go.
I would just like to say, the truth is never told. The truth is learned. So eventually,
right, I need to move on from that statement. I don't even know what that is.
We're going to know the truth very soon, but we just have to wait.
That's right. But the truth is only revealed in YouTube videos. That's what it is. Like, it's special YouTube.
It is learned. The truth is never told. It is learned.
Did the premiere? Did Alden actually give permission for people to go diving? Because you look like you went too deep, man. Like, what's going on?
No, this is out in the hot sun. This is out in the hot sun gardening, okay?
But I also feel like, that's the way that politics generally works, right? Like, in politics, like, you have to do some bartering for things. And so I just wonder how that went down. That's all.
Yeah. We'll find out very soon. I'll tell you that. Or we will not, according to Rico.
We'll never know where this might go. But
all right, man. That is your entertainment report. Thank you so much. Don't forget, you can recap it again on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. Follow us on Homeland Daily, and we will appreciate you if you can just subscribe, like it, share it to friends, and continue to grow this platform. We're always pushing the culture forward. And talking about pushing the culture forward, there was a time that my name was Drama Dane on the radio. And the reason I got that name was because I was a very honest individual. So I obtained the name Drama for a reason. But I was told that MLAs also can receive that title. Just be honest. Just be honest. MLA Chris Saunders is here joining us. And I just want to say, really value your time. Thank you so much for being here. Can you hear us, first of all?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. I love Chris, man, because Chris is one of those individuals. He's a straight shooter. Like he is going to be as honest as possible to you, and he has no regards to how you feel about about it because it is the truth, and he's saying it because he loves you and he values this country. So he is definitely one of the MLAs that I really, really hold to a high regards. So, MLA Chris Saunders, thank you so much for joining us. You have also been very vocal in the pension discussion, and today is very crucial for us to jump in that conversation. So, thank you and welcome to the Homeland Daily.
First of all, Dean, thanks much for the invite. Really appreciate it. I was just listening to you guys earlier, and I was really enjoying it. Speaking about New York, that's where I went to university too. So I do have a soft spot for New York.
Oh.
It's pretty much one of my second favorite cities of all time. So
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, it's definitely top 5 for me. Definitely.
Yep.
Cayman is, every place I'm a citizen of, we gonna put ahead.
Nah, I can tell
thank
you, Cayman's the best place on earth.
All right, there it is. There it is. And do you have a particular district that you would say is the best district on earth?
I would actually say Bodden Town without a doubt, but I guess that wouldn't come as a surprise to anyone.
Well, I was giving you an opportunity, an easy layup for you people. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks much for inviting me, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on the show. So we want to get right into this conversation on the pension. We had MLA Kenneth Bryan on the show a little while ago when they were still deciding on whether or not to actually release the pension funds, and he was joining us from the LA during that vote. And of course, a lot has transpired since then. And so I'd love to get your position on people's responses, the public's response in their efforts to try and get their pension. How are you feeling as a member of government who people may be coming to and saying either I'm having problems with this, or what are the main strains that you're hearing from people, and how is it affecting you as a member of government?
The first issue is the slowness of some pension providers to actually pay pension. What I can disclose is that, following the Public Accounts Committee meeting, we had a meeting with the Director of Department of Labor and Pensions, MLA Berna Bush, and myself. And one of the things that we made perfectly clear in that meeting was that, and again, following from the Public Accounts Committee, was that we have a lot of individuals and employers being drawn before the courts for not paying pension, rightfully so, because it is something that's required by law. And at a minimum, we expect if the pension providers now aren't paying as they should be paying as required by law, they should also be dragged before the courts. At the end of the day, it has to be one rule for everyone. No one is above the law. And in this situation, I do know firsthand a lot of people who desperately need that money to basically buy things over. Some people have indicated to me that they don't see why they should be going to NAU or any government agency for assistance if they're sitting on $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 in pension. And I totally support that notion. I do not agree. People sitting on $100,000, $200,000 in pensions, going out, drawing that money, and then showing up again, looking money from the government coffers. I think it is unfair to the people who genuinely need it. At the time in which we made the decision, on the line, and this is going back to the initial vote that we had to do it. At the time, we had no idea how long this crisis would have lasted. And at the end of the day, we know the government resources are still limited. And we believe that the government resources at the time should be directed towards, one, fighting the virus, and two, taking care of our more vulnerable, which is our elders and our children. So I don't expect able-bodied people who have tens of thousands of dollars sitting on pension to be competing for that funds when in fact we do have people who genuinely need it. Now, I am disappointed with some pension companies in terms of how long it is actually taking them to actually pay the funds, especially when people do need it. Equally so, I am disappointed in some people in the sense that I don't think they truly realize um, how important pension is, because ultimately, I already had a fundamental problem with the current pension system to begin with. And just in layman terms, to make it quite easier for you, if you are saving, if the pension requires a 10% saving, it means it take you 10 years to save 1 year's salary. And if you're working for, say, 50 years, which no one really is, but if you even say working for 50 years, you'd have saved 5 years' salary. And even if your money was to double, which it ain't going to happen, but just for mathematical purposes, just say your money double over that 50-year period, you're still talking about 10 years worth of salary that you would basically have when you reach the age of 65. No, if you look at Cayman stats, men are living to 79, women are living to 84. So men are living 14 years past the age of 65. Women are living 19 years past the age of 65. Where are you going with 10 years worth of salary? That ain't going to work it. You know what I mean? So there are some structural issues that we definitely need to have that uncomfortable conversation with. And equally so, we do have a situation, if we even using today, for example, a person at 65, if they were to go out and get a really good health insurance plan, it's going to cost you at least $1,300-$1,400 to have a really good health insurance plan. The current law right now allows a little over $1,000 and something a month that you can draw on your pension. So if your pension alone is 1,000 something and a really good health insurance plan is $1,300-$1,400, then you're drawing money that can't even pay for basic health insurance that you would need. You see people get these like $200-$300 a month, but I really don't think it's fair that you work for 40, 50 years. You pay that money into a private sector plan, and at the time in your life when you need it the most, you're basically forced out in the pasture to go to Cineco or someplace else to get a level of insurance that we know to actually basically be inadequate, and then is a kind of bill that we're passing on to future children to pay for, we're passing on to our kids to pay for. So you can't expect, you work 40, 50 years, you put nothing to the pot, but then you show up at the time to take something out of the pot. I mean, that is unfair to our children. And that's one of the things I have no intention of passing on to my kids. So there are structural issues that we need to have. It is an uncomfortable conversation to have, but at the end of the day, at some point, we need to have it. And I think what this crisis have shown us more than anything is that, we keep kicking the can down the road. And now the can is getting bigger and the road is getting smaller. And at some point, we need to just have this uncomfortable conversation. And one of the reasons why I wanted to come onto this show is your audience is a much younger audience. And I really hope that they do understand the level of indebtedness that this generation may possibly pass on to them. I mean, I remember when I was a young person back in 1990, when they were looking to build a new hospital for 16 million. I mean, people march in the street just to build a new hospital for 16 million. And the other day, the Minister of Finance get up and talk about borrowing $500 million, and nobody batted their eye. And I'm like, come on, guys, $500 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, yeah, man, I guess, we need it, and you can't take that lackadaisical approach, so, I mean, that's just pretty much, I know it's a long opening, but that's just to kind of set the stage in terms of where my headspace is and what it is that we really want to achieve in all of this.
Most definitely. And with the government seeing all of these different hiccups, is it something that maybe they're thinking of taking over, or is this just something that you may have to have just a difficult conversation with the pension companies?
Well, I'm going to tell you straight up right now, I'm not even going to hide and say it. We do definitely need a national health insurance plan. Because one of the first shortcoming we have in the law, and going back again to health insurance, the law made it mandatory for us to have health insurance. It did not make it mandatory for companies to sell us health insurance. So what you have is a cherry picking situation where those who are healthy are getting private sector insurance, and those who have pre-existing condition, a lot of different cases, are going to Cineco, where the premiums are a little bit more expensive. You know what I mean? And so the purpose of insurance is to spread risk. But what you have right now, the only thing that's being spread is basically the losses going to the government, because they're kind of IRS people, and then the private sector companies is having what you call it, a field day, just cherry picking what's right. I give you a perfect example. Just ballpark. Sorry, Sean, can you bring me some water, please? Thanks. Just to kind of give you a ballpark. Cineco insures approximately 10,000 people. And Cineco runs about $100 million a year to insure 10,000 people. The other 55,000 people is $250 million. So how is it you can have government spending 100 million on 10,000 people, but the other 55,000 is $250 million? I mean, either
That
government is
doesn't make
spending too
sense.
much. Exactly. So it directly means then is either A, government is carrying too much cost, or the private sector is carrying too little cost. But just looking at those as an example, you can directly see. And it is these structural issues that it's like I say, it's an uncomfortable discussion. The other thing that I look at is I'm looking 30, 40, 50 years down the line. I don't know which one of these pension companies will still be around. I mean, companies that I thought would have been here forever and a day is gone. But one entity that I know is still going to be around is the Cayman Islands government. And if there's anybody who can hold money for me to pay me back 40, 50 years in the future, I'd feel more comfortable being the government as opposed to some company that is buying and sold and moving out here or moving out there, that kind of thing. Thank you, darling.
Yeah.
That's my loving wife. 21 years married next month.
Oh, love it, love it. Tell her we said hi, man. Chris,
Sean Dean says hi. Yeah.
You know what I wanted to ask you, man, because it's really important. Like I feel like a lot of young people, young professionals, and just let's just keep it 100 and keep it real, Chris. I don't think a lot of people understand the pension structure, the pension scheme, and what it is, and how it works. Because I've had a lot of young people approach me and they're like, okay, so why is my money decreasing? Like I'm putting this amount in every single month, but then after years, that's not what I see in my statements. So I don't think a lot of individuals were told how this actually works, and they weren't educating themselves. So you were a former CFO of a company. You understand finance. This is where your background is. For the young people that are listening right now, why don't you explain to them that they're picking up statements today and they're reading this and they're saying to themselves, what's going on here? This doesn't make any sense to me.
Then I'm actually going to say something, and this is something that nobody wants to see, but I'm going to say because you know me already. I really don't care what people. I'm just going to say what I can say. We have a system that is designed to take every single cent out of your pocket. We have a consumption-based society. You can work for 10 years, you can average $40,000 to $50,000 a year. That'd be $400,000 that you would have made in 10 years. And good luck if you were even able to save $4,000 or $5,000 out of that money. And here's the situation. Our tax base is consumption-driven. And this is the reason why the pension itself is inadequate. The day in which, perfect example. One of the largest government revenues, or government department to make revenues is customs. Customs is based on what we import. Customs is based on what it is that we consume, consumer goods that we bring in. If you decide to start saving, it means you're spending less because it's the same income, you're spending less. The minute you start saving, it means that customs revenues is going to go down. It means government revenues is going to go down. That's going to be bad for government finances. So if you have a country where the day the citizens start to save, which is supposed to be a good thing, it means the government is making less money, which is a bad thing. Something is structurally wrong with this system. Now, we know realistically you need to be saving anywhere from 18 to 22, 25% of your money. The minute you up the pension to say to people, save more, it means you're spending less in the supermarket, you're spending less elsewhere. And if you're spending less, it means the government is making less, business people are making less. This economy don't take well to businesses making less money. And what a lot of young people don't realize, and I'm going to say, until we start having serious campaign finance reform where you understand where politicians get their money from, who's giving money to politicians, this is the reason why special interests will always dominate this country. Now, I can speak the way I speak because I don't take any money from anybody. I don't need any money. And I'm glad now that we got this pension thing coming through because I'm going to take my money out and finance my next campaign with it too. So I definitely don't need anything from my own. You know what I mean? So no, I'm taking my money out. I'm investing in me. You know what I mean?
That's
So
right.
from that standpoint, you know what I mean? So I can have these conversations. I can say these things. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I mean, we have every different group that gets together. And just as we're sitting here right now having this conversation, there are a group of people meeting right now thinking of ways in which to take your money one way or the other to get you inside their stores, to just take money out of your pocket. And what
Wow.
we don't have in this country, we have no consumer protection to help protect consumers. We literally have no unions or anything to help protect employees. You know what I mean? And it's kind of weird because several weeks ago when I'd sent out one of my weekly Sunday messages, I'd brought up the subject of unions. And the reason why I touched it was that, you know, some companies that are multinational companies were doing things in Cayman that they couldn't do elsewhere across the region. I mean, some of the stuff that they were doing, and you know, one employer was speaking to in one of those other countries said to me, "Boy, Chris, if they had tried this down here, we'd burn that building down. Just see if we even hear they thinking about it, we'd burn the building down." That's just how serious these people are. But for whatever reason, you say to employees in Cayman, you know, you get together and do what is right. I mean, there's some strength in numbers or whatever. Not that I'm going out there to advocate unions, but the bottom line about it is the minute you have labor laws that aren't being enforced, people are still getting away with murder. Caymanians are being marginalized. Um, foreign workers are being exploited. I mean, at some point, we have got to recognize the system isn't working, and we need to put our foot down. And I mean, right now, I mean, if you look at the unemployment, the youth unemployment that we have is actually one of the highest too. You know what I mean? And when you think about a lot of the entry level jobs and how cheap those permits are for those entry level jobs for young people coming out, I mean, I remember, and I can speak from first hand experience. I mean, having been a former member of the business staff and plan board. I remember one major hotel. I mean, we turned on a permit that they wanted for like a pool attendant. You know, what I mean? And the reason being why a lot of young people would apply for the job. And now I don't know what qualification it takes to take a big stick with a mesh at the end, stick it in a
Yeah.
pool, pull something out, or give people towel. You know what I mean? And that permit, I think from memory, was like $375 that permit cost. And of course, you know, they were most upset. Okay, babes, they were most upset that the permit got turned down. So they came and they wanted to meet with the board. And we came there and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to them. And the first thing I asked them was, how long was the drive from where you were coming from to here? You know what I mean? How long did it take it to park? And when we sat down, we worked it out. The drive alone was more than $375 in their costs for that level of permit. And the minute they open them out, they actually use up the entire board cost for that permit. You know what I mean? And I'm like, listen, no offense, but I mean, this is a political appointed board. The people who put us here are politicians, and the only thing a politician really respect at the end of the day is votes and voters. And if people who can vote can't get work, people who can't vote ain't getting none. It's as simple as that. So go find work for people. You know what I mean? And I mean, I will tell you straight up, I am a politician. People don't like the word. I signed up for it. I know what it is I signed up for. I have inherited all the bad and the good that comes with being a politician. But at the end of the day, I work for the voters of the country, and whatever the voters tell me that they want is what it is I'm going to do. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Chris, can we talk about? I want to go back a little bit to Dane's asking about the structure of the pension, because so I was talking to two different people about their pension plans, right? And one person was his fund with his prior employer yielded substantial gains, right? As I feel like funds should, when investors are motivated in the right way and the funds are done the right way, and you get compound growth and you have something to look at when you go to extract your pension. The other that I looked at, different employer, different fund, different scenario, had at certain points negative negative yield, and at certain points, almost zero growth. And so my question is, how are we incentivizing the companies that run the pensions to ensure that the funds that they're investing the pensions in are the best funds for their people? What are their what are their incentives?
Well, here's where the first issue was, and this is one of the things we're glad to get out of the Public Accounts Committee meeting that we had. First of all, the 2008 financial crisis started going down around September 2008. Not one single pension report was issued since that time. Zero, zilch, nada. Then, when the reports were issued, if you went through the contents of the report, it's more from the department standpoint in terms of them reporting what it is, excuse me, that they were doing. And one of the things that we made perfectly clear out of the committee meeting is that we want this report written through the lens of the employees that's reading it. Because if you read the law, I think it's section 1, it basically says, hold on there, that this law is for the employees of the Cayman Islands, full stop. So if you are then doing an annual report that says, even if you don't want to name the companies, this company is charging this much in fees, this company isn't. This company is having this much return, this one isn't. Automatically, people can sit back and start saying, wait a minute, which company is this, which company is that, and start moving. But because this was an issue where people wasn't looking at it, because as far as a lot of young people are concerned, this money is 30, 40 years in the future for me, I'm not paying it much mind. Versus now, when people are looking at it like, wait a minute, because I can tell you what I said to one pension company. If you can't make money for me in 20 years, you damn well think you're going to make anything for me in 40 years? I mean, halfway mark, you ain't making nothing. You know what I mean? So at this point, I mean, and like I said in my debate, I tell everybody, take your money out, because I would love, at the end of the day, for some of these companies to have their system destroyed. 9 pension companies for a population of 48,000 working people is ridiculous. There's not enough asset under management, especially when you have a lot of cheap labor, to cover your fees, to make it economies of scale. So they can start finding different ways to nickel and dime you, which some of them clearly are doing. You know what I mean? So let the market forces work. Let the market forces take some of them out. And I've already said it publicly, and I have no problem repeating it right here. I would like to see half of them close down. I would like to say in the day about 2 or 3 to have some level of competition, have economies of scale, and some of these people who shouldn't be in this business need to get out. It's as simple as that. Now, I got what to stay here because I mean we're in LA, we're in Legislative Assembly yesterday. I have Legislative Assembly tomorrow. I have certain immunities to say what I want to say on the floor there and don't have to worry about getting sued. And in there, I've been calling company names, out there I won't, because you can get sued. But at the end of the day, I can tell you straight up. What I can say to you is go back and, if you have time, look at the Public Accounts Committee hearings, because there were some companies I specifically said to them, you're not the company that is keeping me awake at night. I didn't say that to some companies. You know what I mean? So you can go back and look at the ones I didn't say it to, because I mean, we as committee members had the luxury of actually seeing the actual financial statements, sorry, excuse me, of some of these companies. Now, it is still confidential information and everything else. But at the end of the day, it is one of those things where we definitely needed to have that conversation. So I would like more by the end of maybe the next year or two. I like to see maybe one of these or two of these companies start falling each year, and people start voting with their assets, taking their money out and moving it to some of those pension companies that are actually doing well and doing right by their customers. Because some of them actually are doing right and doing well by their customers. And some
Most
need
definitely.
to go.
Yeah,
But
you're
I
right.
mean,
And you know what?
sorry, before I lose a straight of thought, right now, to kind of give an idea, we have over $2 billion sitting in the pension funds. This is just a private sector pension fund. It doesn't include the government pension fund. And the National Pension Board have not had a meeting since February 2019. The board is not even fully appointed. So the group that is supposed to be having some level of oversight over $2 billion worth of pension money is not meeting and there are no members. And this in itself is an indictment on the government. So what do you expect? So the people who are supposed to be looking out for you, I've literally fell asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There it is.
So
Yeah,
I hope
most
that
definitely.
answers your question.
Yeah, for sure. And we're actually coming down to the part where we start wrapping things up. But what's some like last minute advice that you would give to any young person who's just getting that huge lump sum of money in their account for the first time, who's thinking they don't really know what to do with it? What's some advice that you would give to them?
Well, I can tell you what I'm gonna do. What I'm doing with my money, I'm gonna go put it in credit union, and some of it I'm gonna put in
Smart
credit
guy.
union.
Smart
Yeah,
guy.
and the reason being is, well, I mean, and I hope that they open credit union that more people can actually be members. And the reason being is that first and foremost, it is the last and the only major financial institution that we have left out there that is actually Caymanian owned. Every
Mhm.
single one of them aren't. I mean? And I can understand we're living in a country where we're a major offshore financial center. You look at the banks that we have been in this business, we have built literally a reputation of banking, yet we own none of the banks. I mean, you look at the very law firms, they started out being local, they're pretty much all sold out. There are very few of them. I mean, you look around for a country, the amount of resources we have the resources, but we have not taught our people how to be resourceful. And there are too many companies that we have on island that aren't owned by Cayman and aren't managed by Cayman,
Mhm.
and we have the skills and we can do it. So at this point, I will tell anybody to answer your question, invest in real estate. They always say buy land because God stopped making it. You try to buy land under the 5Ds rule. If you can follow the 5Ds, the land is cheaper. And those 5Ds is when somebody's dead, divorced, destitute, desperate, or a drug addict. Something you can get a good deal, but buy the land. Because I remember I was at an age where someone is selling land. The first thing someone asks is it swamp land. No, people don't even care. They just want a block and a parcel
Yeah,
and just take it.
yeah.
What I mean? So it is kind of one of those situations. But I mean, real estate has always done well. And I'll say to people, I mean, for me, I have a philosophy. I don't invest in anything I can't drive to. What I mean? That's just me. What I mean? I like to drive. Like, yeah, my land is still there. I'm cool. I'm good. What I mean? I got 3 kids and I have enough for each of them, at least an acre for each of them. So I'm happy with that. But to tell young people, stay away from credit card debt. I mean, I don't have a credit card. I want to use debit card. I mean,
Mm.
when I swipe, I swipe. If I don't have the money to buy it, I just don't buy it. Invest in yourself. The first person you pay is yourself. Try to save as much as you can for a rainy day. I mean, I know it's difficult, but you just have to find a way. What I
Mhm.
mean? If carpool, don't go out and buy brand new cars and all that kind of stuff. Do invest in cars. Do invest in anything that you lose 20% the minute you drive it off the lot. What I mean? You try to want to get stuff that you can appreciate in value, that goes up in value. And land is always a good thing. What I mean? It can't spoil, it don't depreciate, it can only go up in value. So if there's anything to just buy a piece of land. If you don't know what to do, just go into the bank, buy a piece of land. And if you look at banks are quicker to give you a loan to buy a car as opposed to a piece of land. Because if we give you a car loan, they know you'll be back in 4 or 5 years looking for a new car. You buy
Mhm.
that land, they ain't seen you again for another 15, 20 years. So if you want to type in debt service ratio, go tie it up in a piece of land.
Please don't get cars. Like, please, like if you can avoid that, man. Don't do. I'm so tired of people telling me they're taking their pension money to do that. That's besides the point. And
Listen, I'm still driving a Ivan vehicle that cost $2,500 from
oh,
2004.
it is.
An
And
Ivan vehicle?
an
Oh
Ivan
Lord.
vehicle, when I
There,
bought it, it had 4,106 miles, and I bought 150,000 miles. And I'm going to drive that vehicle to this ready to go to the dump. I am not investing in cars, period.
Mhm.
I've not had a car loan now since maybe '03, '04.
guys, this is
You
coming
know?
This is coming from a guy that used to be a CFO of a very big company. I don't want to name them out, but a pretty big company. So take financial advice from him. All right, he's giving some wisdom here. He's bringing some gems to the conversation. Please take some advice from MLA Chris Saunders. And one of the things we gained from this conversation was a better understanding of our pension plan. Number two, we have to bring you on at some point again to discuss, of course, price control, like basically consumer protection. We have to discuss that. If that's something that you are going to rally behind, Chris Saunders, in your next election term, please, that is something that we need to have a discussion on, because it just
100%.
seems to be a wild west out here when it comes to pricing. And I do believe you that there are people right now sitting in their living rooms trying to figure out, how can I take these people's pension money? And that's not right.
Dean, I'm
People are
going to tell you this much. There's one initiative that I'll be campaigning on very, very feverishly in the next election. It's big, it's bold, but more important, it's doable. And I think a lot of you guys are actually going to like it. Like I said, it is doable. And at the end of the day, I will say this much. I think Shakespeare said it best. Blessed is he who expects nothing, for they shall never be disappointed. I'm going to tell you guys right now, we were able to build a very great island. There's no place else in the world that you have over 100 different nationalities working here, coming here to work. And here's a mindset I want you guys to leave you guys with. Those people, before they came here, sat, whether it be in a living room, sat with their friends in a bar room, restaurant, wherever, and they said, I applied for a job in the Cayman Islands, and if I get that job, my life is going to be better. They came here to make their life better. And they know what it is that they're leaving, and they know why they came here to make their life better. The only people who don't understand what it is that we fully have here and the value of what we have is us. We are living in an island literally 10 minutes from anywhere, no more than 20 minutes. Because whatever it is you need, no one more than 20 minutes away from the airport. You can jump on the plane and go get what you want. You're 5 minutes from the beach, pretty much in any direction that you go. I mean, and I can tell you this, I haven't worked in, and I say Cable and Wireless, I work in digital, I work in HSBC. I've had jobs that have allowed me to travel, see how people live, see how other people work. And I can tell you there's a reason everyone who comes here to work do not want to go back. Whether it's the weather, whether it's the crime, whether it's the climate, but more importantly, it's the people. And one of the things, Dane, when you have more time, I will explain to you and your listeners in layman term why the Cayman Islands have been so successful. And it is us finding a way to get back to that level of what it is that built the country is what we need to return to. And if you think about it, this country wasn't built by people who were super educated, but it was built by people who were hardworking and determined and had a clear vision of what it is that they wanted. The problem that we had is that those guys set out to build us a first-class financial center to create jobs and everything for people. What they didn't do was said, wait a minute, what are we going to do after we have done that? And that is where our generation fell down a little bit. And if you look at the, to give Jack his jacket, if you look at within my generation, it's probably one of the last generations that benefited from having a Cayman Protection Board, having a board that literally guaranteed me coming out of school to literally have a job, because work permits were very difficult to get at that time. It wasn't easy. I mean, to kind of show you how crazy our work permit system has become, banks are giving 25-year mortgages to people on work permit. Now, if you're on a work permit where you're going to be rolled over in 7 or 9 years, or your permit may not even be granted, the bank is so comfortable that that person is going to stay here, that they're going to lend them money for 25 years, but technically they know they can't stay here past 7 or 9 years. That is just how ridiculous our immigration system is. And the only good thing I can say is that many of the new Caymanians now that have now joined us and have integrated in our community, they're the ones basically saying, Chris, close the door. You're letting us too many people in. You know, a lot of the indigenous multi-generational families, they're kind of like, The newer ones like, listen, man, you made me Caymanian too easy. I don't want anybody else. Close the door now. Because they themselves haven't come through the system, seen how
Yep.
easy it was,
Mm-hmm.
it's recognized and know we need to have some level of control. What I mean? And Churchill, I think, said it best: never lose never lose an opportunity, never lose a chance to find an opportunity in a crisis. COVID has given us a lot of opportunities and a lot of chance to reset jobs that we thought weren't valuable for, jobs that we seen are valuable now. What I mean? And one of the things, if you look at even the last chamber salary survey in 2016, and you see the jobs that were actually paid, jobs that many people think that don't pay money actually pay money. What I mean? And these are the kind of stuff that we need to sit down there, show our young people, what it is like to have a skill. But for whatever reason, I mean, we have turned around and we have brought the class system in our jobs where depends on where you work, in the kind of car you drive, where you live, and all that kind of stuff. It's automatically supposed to make you better than somebody else. Our politics, our democracy was supposed to fix that, because for me as a politician, whether you're working or unemployed, whether you're making 10,000 a month or 1,000 a month, you're still on the one next to me, you're still on the one vote. You still have an equal voice. And this was supposed to be the great equalizer. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people now who have gone out using economic power, bought politicians, in some cases they even rent them too. What I mean? And as a result, through the money that you need for campaign and all that kind of stuff, they literally have a seat at the table. And a lot of people are being disenfranchised from that. So I will say to a
Chris,
lot of young people, get involved.
can I ask you what in 20 seconds, what you would say to those of us who read the statements, the public statements from a certain pension company CEO that just made light of the fact that his company is delayed on dispersing pensions, is that it's a criminal offense that could they could be punished for, just kind of laughing it off, like, oh, if you punished me for this, I'd go to jail for this many years times over.
Well,
what would you say?
I don't know which company you're talking about, but in that hypothetical situation,
I'll say
in that hypothetical situation, I would tell you, go and take your money out. Go find another pension company.
Mm-hmm. There it is. There it is.
And that's how we use our power.
Make your money
talk.
Well said. Well said. Yep. Listen, that didn't even.
I mean, I don't know which company that is, So
you don't know. You didn't say it was me. I said the hypothetical, not you.
Yeah. Nice. So I mean, yeah, that exists. I would definitely tell you to take your money out.
We'll be honest with you. Man. This conversation was enlightening. It was beautiful. It was great. We don't want to ever mention companies like Fidelity ever this platform. But if you do have your money with them, I would say just quickly switch. Hey, I didn't want it to come from the mouth of an MLA, but I'm okay.
It did not
enough to speak the truth here. All right, that's what I'm about. So, Chris, I'm gonna speak a next.
Now, hold on. Let me say something right here. And here's something that we're going to be careful of, and this is, as much as we have the awesome responsibility of saying things and don't have to worry about being sued while we're in the Legislative Assembly. One of the things, and this is one of the reasons why I led out with most of the questioning, is that these are financial institutions. And here's a catch now. Take Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg goes before Congress. He testifies. He talks crap. Facebook stock starts to fall in share. Yes, it fell, and Mark Zuckerberg may have lost money with it falling. But guess what? A lot of people who invested in Facebook also lost money. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we had to be very careful of and be more responsible of is not to say anything, because in the eyes of the public, and since you brought up Fidelity, in the eyes of the public, as much as there's Fidelity Pension, there's also Fidelity Bank. They're two separate entities. And it is one thing to maybe question Fidelity, but then there's also the banking side of it. And when you start eroding confidence in our financial institutions, that you can run the risk of maybe creating a run on a bank, which I can tell you no bank can ever survive a run, because no bank has 100% of the deposits. So when it comes on to financial institutions, we have to got to be really careful, because I can tell you, if you think Fidelity is one thing for Fidelity pensions to maybe have certain challenges, but the minute it goes over into the bank, it creates a different story. And that's why I would say to anyone is to be careful, because now you start getting to the hundreds of millions of dollars of people's actual deposits. And you never ever want to have that,
Mhm.
because I mean, we have seen other banks fail. I've seen BCCI fail, where people are getting back, I think, maybe cents to the dollar, maybe 20, 30 cents back to the dollar. You know what I mean? And we have a lot of people, and depending on the kind of money, and people have their life savings in an institution, you never ever want to see or do something that put that at risk. So when I come onto these financial institutions, and that's one of the reasons why, as much as even sitting inside public accounts committee, and I had certain parliamentary privilege of saying and doing certain things, I didn't come out and say certain things for that exact same reason. No, for some companies, like I said, I did say to those people who came, you don't keep me up at night. I'm not losing sleep over you. You know what I mean? And that was my way of saying to the public, well, these guys, it's in my opinion, you know what I mean? That not to say no that the others don't have the issues, because all of them have audited financial statements and everything else. Some of them I wouldn't put my money in, but we always got to be careful when it comes on to financial institution, because the minute something goes down at one of them, if you think some of them may be having a challenge getting paid, you eroding confidence in the institution as a whole, then everybody is going to go down. You know what I mean? And I know Fidelity probably banks with other banks, and the minute you start, one is a chain reaction, and this is where contagion and all that kind of stuff come in. And we saw that in the 2008 financial crisis. So many companies were intertwined. You don't know who's doing business with who, and then all of a sudden this is going down. But I'll leave you guys with something to Google, and then you can understand part of the 2008 financial crisis.
Mhm.
When you get a chance, look at something called credit default swap.
Oh
That's
yeah.
credit default swap. And when you look at the size of that market, not the billions, you're talking in the trillions. And then when you understand that market becoming at risk, you'll understand why the government getting and say, well, AIG is too big to fail. Because
Mhm.
you take one peg down, you're taking a lot of organizations with it. And that is why we need to make sure, especially with those of us who have a public platform, is to be very responsible with it. Do they have challenges? Yes, they do. Many companies have challenges. Most companies were equipped that, I mean, using back Fidelity as an example, they have around 3,000 employers that they were basically managing in terms of coming in. All of a sudden, you have now changed the 3,000 people that they were dealing with, because they would have an infrastructure to support 3,000 companies to deal with, because that's what they were dealing with on a monthly basis. You have now created something and created a situation where they now have 11,000 to deal with. All of a sudden now, I mean, the infrastructure for 3,000, and you suddenly say to them, go out and be able to cater to 11,000. Anybody would have been called out if your infrastructure is built for that. Some companies invested a lot in IT. I can say this publicly. I mean, I look at Silver Touch. They invested a lot in their IT, and as a result of making that initial investment, when this shock came to the system, some companies were a little bit more prepared to deal with it than others. You know what I mean? And it's just the way some stuff is. I mean, I look at HSBC. HSBC is the largest European bank, and it's had one of the most antiquated banking systems. But when you speak to the people in IT, their IT infrastructure is so old that the modern day hackers can, like, that language, we don't even know it. No one teaches it. No one ever hacked the bank, because no one even know the language that they use it. It is that old. You know what I mean? But then at the same time, you're talking about a bank that had more IT employees than, say, Microsoft, which is an IT company. That's how many people that you needed just to keep it afloat. So, like I said, whenever I come on to financial institutions and everything else, we always got to be a little bit more careful in that regard. And that's why I try to be as respectful as possible. Because, like I said, you erode confidence in one of them, then ultimately, you know what I mean? So that's I just had to put that out there. I didn't want to leave that, I mean, out there. And we always got to be mindful of that, because at the end of the day, there's also people job came on their jobs and everything else too.
Definitely, man. Listen, Chris, we want to thank you for making time to come on. As usual, we know that this was going to be like a wealth of gems, and I really have a lot of respect for you. I know what you stand for. I know who you are. I know how truthful you are. That's one of the reasons that you just educated us on that matter just a couple minutes ago, because you came from a financial background and you know the differences between what we just spoke about. So yes, I think a lot of people took in a lot of what you said tonight, and we just want to thank you. We want to show our appreciation. We want to thank you for giving your most important asset, and that's your time. We'll see you again because we have way more to talk about. So you have a good night, Chris.
Dane, you have my number, can call anytime. You all have a good one now, and I'll continue to tune in. All the best, man. God bless, guys.
All right,
Keep up
man.
the good work. Okay.
Man, that was Chris Saunders, MLA Chris Saunders to be exact. Great guy, great conversation. We see the messages that are pouring in. We are well over our time tonight, but I have to say that it was a great conversation, a much needed one. And we usually stick to the format as much as possible, but this was definitely one of those discussions that a lot of people needed to have. Just a few points before I hit the end button here. I want to shout out Alice. She gave a great statement. She works for Silvertouch, and I want to shout out Silvertouch because they've been amazing. They've been one of the pension companies that have actually stood by the 45 days and paid their customers in time, and they've done a tremendous job. Small team, but they stood huge for the call-in, and I just want to thank Silvertouch for the amazing job that they've done. Credit Union was brought up tonight. We need to get Credit Union on the show. We need to get individuals from Credit Union to talk about the opportunities that you have when you join as a member of Credit Union and what it stands for, because that's very important. And I also want to shout out also one of my next favorite MLAs, which is Kenneth Bryan, for being a part of the show tonight. Incredible guy. He has a wealth of information too. He joined us first on this show to talk about pension, and that's what created this whole conversation in the beginning. So if it wasn't for Kenneth Bryan educating us before, I don't think we would continue the discussion. So thank you, Kenneth Bryan. And thank you to everybody else, Christina McLean and Sadden Brown and Paul. Also, thank you so much for joining the show. So much others that came in also. Guys, have a wonderful night. That was episode 48 of the Homeland Daily, always pushing the culture forward. We will see you again for episode 49. I'm excited, close to 50 tomorrow. And we'll tell you who our special guest will be, all right? But it's all about the mind.
Yeah.
All right? Think about that. We'll see you again tomorrow at 7.
Later.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record,